First, I want to thank you, Swaham, who have invited me to the floor today. I want also to thank the organizers to give me the possibility to share with you information and comments on the current situation of the proceeding in France. I want to deliver special thanks to my friend Cynthia for the very kind, friendly words she has for me. And my last thanks will be for Leah, my wife, who had the courage and who was kind enough to be with me for this travel despite very tough work in Paris. All start by a criminal complaint we have lodged in December 2009 before the chief prosecutor in Paris. This complaint has been possible first because I received confidence, and I'm very honored for that. My firm received the confidence of Swaham to elaborate, to draft this complaint. And let's say immediately that at the beginning we were quite pessimistic. We were pessimistic because we didn't have sufficient elements which could guarantee us to obtain a result. But we start to work, we collect information, we collect elements, of course, first from the conclusion coming from the inquiry commission which has been obtained thanks to the courage of the MPs who share the table with me. This complaint also has been possible because we have been helped by investigative journalists who provide us various information. As I just said, at the beginning we were a little pessimistic. And let's say that the fact to have obtained an inquiry is already a first result. Because this inquiry will permit one day for Malaysian people to have access to the truth and to have access to justice. Of course, many obstacles have to be overcome and will have to be overcome. The main obstacles come, as you know, from the secret, the opacity which always characterize the commission of the crimes of corruption. One characteristic of the corruption is the fact that the beneficiaries, the responsibles of the corruption, always want to organize their impunity. And this greed of impunity is one of the main difficulty to have access to truth and to justice. Today, I can share with you various information on the current statute of the proceeding. The investigation, which are secret, as you know, which are ruled by the prosecutor, have already permitted us to discover two other flows, two other commissions, one of 30 million euro Montanès, a French company, and one little strange, ambiguous commission of 2.5 million euro. This has been the first result of the inquiry. The inquiry is secret, and of course there is here a main contradiction between the secrecy of this investigation and your ambition to have access to all the truth. I understand that it is not a very unfortunate situation. And the highest thing that I can say is the fact that the investigation have already been positive. Some documents have been signed. The French company has been visited by police forces. Some documents are under the exploitation of police and the prosecutor. And it will reveal very crucial information on the authors responsible of this conspiracy. So it means that one day we will have access to the truth, and one day we will have access to justice. As I just said, we have to overcome obstacles. And these obstacles are universal. You have to deal with obstacles here. I have to deal with obstacles also in Paris. I have to deal with obstacles in Paris because corruption issues are always very sensitive case and are always susceptible to embarrass leaders, not only in Kuala Lumpur, in London, in Paris, in Frankfurt. And that's why, for the moment, the prosecutor refused in France, as we have required it, as we have asked it, refused to designate an investigative judge. A couple of months ago, we have presented to the dean of the investigative judge a new complaint to obtain a full access to the file. Perhaps some of you know that a couple of months ago, more precisely in November 2010, after a very long and difficult battle, I have obtained from the French Supreme Court to declare that Transparency International France, the subsidiary of Transparency International, could be considered as admissible to appear as a civil plaintiff in the case I have engaged 3 years ago against 3 African head of states for looting the public money in 3 countries, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and Congo, Brazzaville. I have struggled a lot against the prosecutor because this overlaps his main political interest in France. And this is the signatory, among other examples, of the fact that to deal with corruption impose courage, impose tenacity, impose determination, and impose also patience. We can draw some consequences of this first investigation, which is still current in France. Perhaps in the following months, we will know better about this investigation. We know that this investigation perhaps will bring information, for instance, on the beneficiaries of travel which seems to have been paid by French companies. 2 names appear for the moment: Bagina and Aladia. And perhaps one day investigation will permit to identify the other beneficiaries of this travel. And perhaps also investigation will permit to know who participated in various secret meetings in Paris. And you can rely on my firm determination to make sure that this investigation will go as further as possible. And of course, as I've just shared with you, we will have still to overcome obstacles. But we have to overcome obstacles, and we have also to be aware of the fact that fight against corruption now is a universal combat, is a universal fact. Every leader, when you watch TV, every leader, after the G8, G20, try to convince international political opinion that their new aim, their new ambition is to fight against tax evasion, to fight against corruption. But at the same time, and very hypocritically, corruption continue to be committed in a way more and more sophisticated and more pacified. And we have to reduce this double language. We have to reduce this discrepancy between the word, the promise, the international convention, and the act. And today in Malaysia, we understand that the yellow submarine case is, to a certain extent, the signatory of the capacity of the Malaysian democracy to be fully an effective democracy. I belong to this kind of citizens who consider that there is no democracy if there is no complete eradication of corruption. There is no confidence of the public opinion in their leaders if there is no complete eradication of briberies and corruption. All this, of course, imply a strong commitment. But some countries have delivered to the world a very strong message. These countries are Tunisia and Egypt. Thanks to the Arab War, thanks to the Tunisian public opinion, thanks to the Egyptian public opinion, to have recalled us that at the end, the truth may win. That at the end, the leaders one day are accountable for the financial crimes they have committed. We have to thank them to have encourage you to continue in your fight, in your battle, and in your determination. It means that despite the obstacles, and despite the fact that such proceeding is complex and difficult, truth one day will emerge in France, and it will be shared with you on the author of the corruption linked to Yellow Submarine. One day, the truth will be revealed and we will disclose on the beneficiaries of this scandal. All this, of course, requires determination, solidarity. You can rely on me, I rely on you, and I want to terminate my work to tell you that I'm confident in your capacity to overcome all the difficulties. I wish you courage, and still courage, and at the end, good luck. Thank you.